Hi, Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. Let's bring in our audio audience, the Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Sisters and brothers, what I'm going to talk about today is the mystery of the seven seals. The mystery of the seven seals. Let's see here. Sisters and brothers, we're told that the book of Revelation is called the Prophecy and also the Angel in Arabic, Apocalypse. Also the Angel in Arabic. We're told this book would be sealed, not to be revealed until the end times. Yet everyone's talking about it, but no one has broken the seals. Some claim with no proof. But here we have broken the seals and we can prove it. And that's to identify Suleiman, who would be on the scene, would be rejected, even though he has the credentials. So that would be the situation that he would find himself in, because basically, if you read Ezekiel, Suleiman, son of man, was told to preach in the cemetery. Pretty much. If you think about it, exactly the situation. But I'm not going into detail about these seals, much more than I've ever done before. But I'm not going into excruciating detail, but I'm going to go into detail. Those of you who have no knowledge of the Revelation or Angel, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Those of you who have knowledge but have not studied the Angel, right? In this regards, right, as I'm going to explain, you'll be lost also. If you haven't studied under having knowledge of the seals being broken, then you will be lost also. Only those who have been studying the unsealed Bible, unsealed Revelations, unsealed Injil, unsealed Apocalypse, that's one of the names they call it, will have some understanding what I'm talking about. So it's primarily for them, but there's something maybe you can study, you can benefit from. But we have people that are more than willing to bring you up to speed on what the book of Revelation is actually saying, because the entire Bible is under a veil, not to be revealed until the seven seals that sealing the entire Bible has been broken, and thus revealing not only what Revelation, right, the Apocalypse as they call it, Apocrypha, right, but also revealing what the Bible is actually saying. So we're going to proceed, brothers and sisters. My audio audience, we will include a link to the video version, because if you're paying attention to this, you won't see any video, which you need to help you along. But we'll include a link at the end, so you can go look at the video version if you so inclined to. Okay. So first of all, I just want to, and I'm going to keep pounding this in, brothers and sisters. Stop letting them whitewash your 400 experience here. Your 400 experience here slavery was just a small aspect of it. It was just the economical aspect of it. That's the capitalist aspect of it. You know, slavery is the capitalist dream. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. That's a capitalist dream. And that's capitalism enslaved us. See? Impoverishing us, working us, taking our labor with no pay. See? But that was just the economic side. If that was all that happened, then maybe there could be some reconciliation. But that's not. That was just a small portion. 99.9% of what we went through had nothing to do with slavery. Look up slavery and see if included in that definition is murder, rape, torture, sodomy, butt breaking. See if it has anything. Any of those are part of what slavery is identified as. No, we went through the Holocaust. It was horrific. 400 years of absolute, abject horror. It wasn't a theory. So they're trying to whitewash it now. They're trying to walk away from what they've done, walk away from their crimes. See, wash their hands of it. Oh, that was a theory, critical race theory. No, it wasn't a theory. Try calling the Holocaust a theory and see what happened to you. But you got these Negro butts that's more than willing to go along with that program because they experienced some of the Holocaust, but they were experienced from the hands of their fathers. See? Because they were the product of rape. So it was their fathers that was doing it. So in many cases, they end up in the field wrong with the Negro butts. See, because they was the terror butts. See, but most of them was so-called house Negroes in the house, and they had the privilege of being in the house, working with massa, right? Better clothes, better food, so forth and so on, right? And doing massa's will, which was to keep us in check, in line. See, and to terrorize us. Because they would send among them, us, to spy on us, because they couldn't do it because it was too obvious. And plus they didn't understand us. See, but the terror butts were the house Negroes, or they're demons, half devil, half man, because if your father's a devil, so are you. That's biological fact. See, they want to whitewash that too. Say, oh no. See, just think about it. See, they say, oh, we ain't racist. Yeah, they are racist. But racism is not, it's not racism if you take and protect your own family. I don't have a problem from doing that. If they want to take care of their own family to exclusion of everybody else, I have no problem with that. That's not racism. It's racism what they did to us, because you attack another race because of their race. That's racism. So don't get it twisted. See? So they came at us, right? They corrupted our nation with their seed. That's talked about the chaff was sowed amongst the seed. It said the enemy did it. And it said Jesus would have to take and separate him out to cure the man. Because the man was plagued by demons. He was self-destructive. See? And then Farrakhan, he's a demon. His father's a devil. Just Google it. Don't take my word for it. Google it. His father's name is Percival Clark. Google it, his bio. They tell you his father's name, Percival Clark. You click on the picture and you see, or you click on Percival Clark and you see it's a devil. So he ain't my savior. If you're stupid enough to think he's your savior, you're either a demon or an idiot or a cold stone vulture or viper. Either way, we don't want you. See? So we get this straight. See, they went through some of it too, right? But they want to integrate. They want to get close to Master. See, they don't want to separate from Master because they love Master. They're just angry because Master don't treat them like he treats the other white children. That's what they're angry about. And that's why I love Martin Luther King, because he was making it possible for them to be accepted by Master, by Daddy. See? But they are the ones that saw terror And that's why I call them terror butts. They take it and bringing terror in our community, keeping us terrorized, divided, right? See, and they spoil our image on the movies, TV. See, they're successful. It says that the righteous, right? It says they will suffer in this reality. It says their reward is in the hereafter, not after you die. But the demons and the devils, they will be successful. It's just like a fish in water, right? If you're in water, right? If you're fishing in the desert, you're not going to be successful. But if you're in the water, you'll be successful. And so this is their reality. So they're successful. So you see Oprah and Denzel and Chris Rock, all these people. You're never going to be like that. They're my house. And they have to, and they speak for the master. They wave the flag, they love master, and they try to get you to, convince you to do it. And when you don't, there's something wrong with your programming. Because 64 years to program you. It took 64 years to program you. To turn you from Kuti Kenti into Toby. It's 64 years from 1555 to 1619. The first Negro butts came off the production line. Fully programmed to self-destruct, to obey master, to not think, not ask any questions. And you've been like that, and not only that, but to produce more Negro butts. See, and so you say, oh, so you stamp, right? My name is Amos Richardson. That wasn't a name, that was your ownership. So you was owned by Richardson, Master Richardson, so now you Amos Richardson. If he sold you to Master Blackstone, your name became Amos Blackstone. See? And some of you happy with those names, and they was brands. See? Fully programmed, ready to do Master's bidding. See? No questions, anything. See? And then you say, oh, well, Mama was doing it, exactly. And Daddy was doing it, yeah, so I'm doing it, because Mama and Daddy was Negro butts, and the whole program was to make you sure you're a Negro butt. And if you deviate from that programming in the slightest, here comes a terror butt. That means Master's house Negroes, right? They're terror butts to terrorize you, to reprogram you, to tweak you, right? See? Or to reboot you to get you back online, because they're not successful in getting you back online, then they dismantle you. See? They pull the plug on you. That's their job. And so you see the black community talking about black on black crime. No, it's terror butts on Negro butts. But they look like you, talk like you, work, so you think it's your own people. So now you begin to hate yourself. See, you're programmed to hate yourself. So you begin to hate yourself, hate your own people, because you think they're your people. And they're on TV make you look like a fool before the whole world. That's not your people. That's them. That's Master's black-faced children. See? You're going to get to understand that. Went through a Holocaust. And that and it tells you the rape was so incessant, so relentless, right? So consistent, right? Continuous, right? Unrelenting, that it says half the black people in America are demons, terror butts. See, to spy on you, to keep you programmed, to terrorize you in fear, keep fear, to maintain control of you. So don't let them keep telling you about some slavery. See, that's the capitalist, the economic part of it. 99.9% of it was the Holocaust. See? So let me make a couple changes here, brothers and sisters. Then we're going to move into the basis program here. One here. So I just want to make sure you understand that, brothers and sisters. So there'll be no confusion. It was a Holocaust. Think about the slavery stuff. They're trying to whitewash it now. Oh, CRT, we don't want to teach our children. Why you don't want your children to know your history? Why? If you're such good people, why don't people know your history? See? You honor rapists and pedophiles and oppressors, Washington, Jefferson, but you gonna the good people? Is you gonna say? Then you gonna say God sanctions this? What God sanctions this kind of activity, this kind of actions? What God would censure it? The God of this world, who Jesus told you is Satan. He the one was, because he want to bless you for raping, genocide, murder. See, that's how he rewards you for those. The more that you do, the more you get blessed by him. So we say God bless America. He's the one that's blessing America. See, because you're doing his works. He said they would go forth to rape. No, excuse me. They would go forth to steal, kill, and destroy. How did they get this land? They stole it. What they do in their habits, they killed them. What they do to us, they brought us in and destroyed us. See? So, it's clear, brothers and sisters. But we're going to move on into this, right? Because I want to get, see, the 7 seals, I've never revealed the things I'm going to reveal before. Like I said, I get closer and closer and closer. I would reveal more. Because the scriptures tell you, if the master knew the hour his house be broke into, he would not suffer it to happen. And so I have to be very careful about what I reveal and when I reveal it. But those of you who are studying the angel, some of you may have seen some of this already. And like I've already told you, if you see some things, you be careful, right? Or run it past me before you speak on it. See? But we haven't had that problem yet. See? Okay. So the 7 seals. So let me go in, and the apocalypse. Okay, let me say about this apocalypse. Apocalypse is the battle between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. The sons of truth and the sons of lies. See, for control of the universe, a control of this reality, a control of the planet. See, that's what it is. And Armageddon is just one phase of it. That's the European phase when the Europeans are going to collide with each other, which is about to happen. That's not this Ukraine-Russian thing. That's wars that comes under classification of wars and rumors of wars. What's going to trigger this whole thing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, is the war that they're preparing to go through with Iran. Now they're saying publicly that America's worried that Iran may have a nuclear weapon in a few weeks. What does that mean? If they already said publicly there's no way in hell Iran's going to be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Now they're saying, you see, the same way it's built up for Saddam Hussein. Oh yeah, they might have one in okay, well you got nuclear weapons. For us, Israel got nuclear weapons. Any European country that wants it, they can have them. But anybody else can't have them. You see. So, but they can't be allowed to have them because they're insane, they're terrorists, they're radical, and really? If they've shot a nuclear weapon off for someplace else, right? You got several countries in the world that could just obliterate Iran in 5 seconds. So why would they do something like that? In fact, they wouldn't even realize whether their nuclear weapon was. They attack. Let's look at it this way. Say they take and shoot a missile at false Israel, right? How long would it take to get there? 5, 10 minutes, whatever, right? Then false Israel have hundreds of nuclear weapons, so they say, right? You got Europe, they got hundreds of European weapons. America's got 100 European nuclear weapons. They got submarines right off the coast of Iran with nuclear weapons. And they hit Iran with nuclear weapons in less than 2 minutes. 5 minutes at the most. Think about that. See, they don't tell about these submarine things. They say, oh, well, Russia has submarines circling the United States like Indians running around a fort. See? And so America has the same situation with submarines around other countries. So forget about a missile coming from a silo, just from a submarine. And they got submarines right in the Persian Gulf, all around there, with nuclear weapons. And Israel does, false Israel does too. So, see, this is bullshit. It's like this Iranian thing. I explained what that's all about, right? That ain't about Russia attacking. That's about Russia stopping Russia from producing oil. They want to stop Russia from producing oil. See, but that's another story. So Iran got one, maybe three, maybe five, and they launch them towards false Israel. Before the weapons hit false Israel, Iran is toast. It's crumbs. It's toast. It's a desert. They wouldn't even know if the weapons exploded. It got there. And they got all kinds of ways to intercept these missiles also. So ain't that bullshit? See, they don't tell you like that. So why would Iran do something like that? They'd be obliterated before they can, it's like, somebody's got a gun to your head, right? And you threaten to shoot their son across the street. And they got a gun to your head. And you pull the trigger, but before the person get hit that you're trying to shoot, you might even hit him. You might miss. You don't even know because you don't blow your head off. Does that make any damn sense? Why would you do something like that? And why would you even fear that? Why would false even fear that? Why would the guy across even fear that? Because the point is, you probably miss. And now he knows you're about to shoot him, so he's going to move around, and you're going to be a moving target. It just don't make any damn sense. And plus, he got a bulletproof vest on and everything else. Come on. It makes no sense. Because there's something else going on here. See? There's something else going on here. So that's what they want you to, they tell you, well, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, they got another excuse. They got backup. If you get past that one I just told you about, they got a backup. Well, if Iran gets nuclear weapons, right, it's going to start a cascade, right, in a nuclear proliferation in the Middle East. Everybody's going to want a nuclear weapon. Saudi Arabia's going to buy one Pakistan. Well, first of all, see if Pakistan would sell it to them. Second of all, right, if they could do that, they probably would have done already, right? But even so, right? They say Iran would cause that. No, Iran wants a nuclear weapon because false Israel caused it. They came to they introduced nuclear weapons into the region, and that's why everybody else wants one. But they said, no, it's Iran. They have it. Everybody's gonna want one. No, it's because you got one. You got a whole bunch of them, and threaten everybody with them that they want them. So they just lie. Look, everything these people tell you is a total lie. Since the day you arrived on this continent, right, you haven't been told the truth about anything. Nothing. Zero. Because when you analyze it, but you're not supposed to do that. Because you can't think. You're not supposed to think. Remember? You're a Negro butt. Programmed not to think. So this is so obvious, but you can't see it. Because you're told not to think. You see? You remember that story of Samson, right? Samson went through the slavery. He went through Holocaust, right? They took his sight and his hair with his strength. See? And took his, see, you don't understand this story. See, when they took their sight from you, it's not like you can't see physically. Your sight that was given to you by your ancestors is a scripture. That's what I call prophecy, because it allows you to have foresight. But they telling you that that's history, so they turn your foresight into hindsight, so now you're blind. You can see the past, but you can't see the future, because they telling all that past was a lie. Because if you read Exodus, just read Exodus from the standpoint that's happening right now, and you'd be surprised how clear your vision will become. Because you see who Elijah was, you see who Israel was, you see who the God was, you see who Farrakhan is, Aaron, the liar, the stealer, the deceiver, right? We have people worshiping the golden calf with Sunniism. And then you see Joshua come after him, which is the one that Jesus that you claim that you're waiting for, because that's what Jesus is. Jesus is just the Greek form of Joshua. But see, they blinded you. See, they blinded Samson by, right, telling them that scripture, oh, that's hindsight. That happened in the past. And the false Jews tell Jews that didn't happen in the past to me. We never was enslaved by anybody. And he didn't argue about it. See? But now you said, oh, it happened to them in the past. No, that's present and future. See? And once you understand that, then your foresight will come back to you. And you'll be a prophet. You'll be able to prophesize. Because that's your natural ability. See? But they keep telling you, well, it's the past, so now you lost your sight. So your strength comes back. Remember, Samson's strength came back, his head grew back, but he never got his sight back. And so he went to war where the people had took to the horror, and he destroyed them and himself in the process. See, if he had foresight, he wouldn't have made that mistake. See. Anyway, we move on. See. So like I said, an apocalypse, it encompasses the whole thing. And it officially started 2020. See, because the Abrahamic Covenant, though you're not familiar with it, right? You better read it. You should read it. Now, I ain't gonna tell you better do anything, but it's in the so-called Old Testament and the so-called New Testament. So you can't say it's abrogated. It goes something like this: that your seed Abraham would be strangers in a foreign land. They would sojourn there for 40 years. They'd be enslaved, and persecuted. See, it's two things. They keep two things separate. Because if it was slavery was encompassed what they did, then they would just say they've been enslaved. They said no, they'd be enslaved and afflicted. And afflicted was the worst part, because they're gonna be punished. I was inflicted because the affliction of us, not because they're enslaving of us. They'll be punished because they're affliction of us. You see what I'm saying? It's right there, brothers and sisters. And so the official slavery day, because we came 50-55, but it took 64 years to turn us into Negro butts, the enslavement part, right? So 1619 to 2019, that's the 40 years. It said there'll be 10 plagues right immediately after that. That was the start of the apocalypse, right? And the first would be, in the sealed Bible, would be a plague that would kill the firstborn, which is the elderly, and pass over you. That's exactly what happened. It came right on time, 2020. And Farrakhan didn't see it. He's supposed to be a prophet. Cyrus didn't see it. He's supposed to be, whatever he's supposed to be son of man or something. Royal didn't see it. Well, he's dead, right? And none of these people saw it. I told you about it, but they didn't see it because they're blind. They're all liars. That was an easy call if anybody was following Elijah Muhammad, because he said, 1619, he said his whole reason for coming here is because of the Abrahamic Covenant. See? Easy call. And so if you think it's not passing over, I know some of you believe that it's wiping us out, just go and do research. Google WHO, the World Health Organization, and in the last 90 days, or maybe a little longer, but you'll see it, they said that they couldn't understand why this plague was not affecting Black Africa, Haiti, or any other country that was controlled and run and residing by blacks. So it fits, but the kinetic part, right, where it comes into full force, where the war breaks out, that's about to happen. That's the war in chapter 12 of the Angel or Revelation, where Michael, his angels, goes against the war, goes against Michael is the imams. The Shia's 12th imam, right? That's Master Muhammad, and the Shia, that's his angels, go against the war with the dragon and his angels. The dragon represents the house of Saad, and his angels is America, Britain, and false Israel. You say, why are they his angels? Because they became empowered because the cheap oil they was getting from us, house of Saad, right? See, that's no story altogether. Anyway, we're going to move on, bros, because I want to get into this, right? I'm trying to get you to understand it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, you can read this at your leisure. Let me move some over here. So over here. You can read this at your leisure here. This is like a diagram. I'm going to explain this in more detail. Okay, I'm going to give a brief explanation of this. We're talking about the seven seals here. The mystery of the seven seals. I'm revealing this for the first time. Right? Okay. First is the white horse. Right? Okay. The white horse, that's the first seal, right? Now there's two phases to this. You gotta read it correctly. He goes forth conquer and the conquer. Depends on the translation you get, right? So there's two stages there. So you gotta be very careful about that one. So the first one, now see, you understand, angel understands, so I'm not going into detail about it. The first one represents Obama. It'd be a black person, African, not one of us, but an African, a true African. Well, you say, well, you're not a true African. See, because you understand, but you're African. We're original people. We actually came from Arabia, which is North Africa. I'm talking modern day Africa, because that's where Obama is, right? His father was African and came over here. He didn't go through our experience, right? And it says that if you read the fourth seal, you got to understand how these things work together. I'm not going to go, like I said, I'm not going that excruciating detail, but it's an African, right, that's running a European country, which is America, and whatever African ever done that. Okay, so that's Obama. That's the first one. Okay, then it says, then you got the seventh seal. See, it's a mystery, seven seal, really mysterious. And when you open up the seventh seal, occurred silence in heaven for half an hour. Now, you got the sealed version, unsealed version. We're not going to talk about the sealed version. We're going to talk about the unsealed version. The unsealed version, half an hour is about 6 months, because now an hour is a year in this case, right? So there's a period of silence. So what do they mean with silence? What, how do you know they mean 6 months and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, we're gonna go down to the next one here. And then we open the fifth seal. Now, when you go and read, you have to do this on your own, but like I said, I'm not going to excruciating detail. When you go and read the seven seals, the first one, he saw something. I know he heard something. He says, when I first heard, I heard this. See, like he says, you see where he says, when he opened the lamb went out of the seven seals, he heard something. On the second one, he hears something. On the third one, he hears something. On the fourth, he hears something. But on the fifth, if you read the fifth here and the sixth, you don't hear anything. You don't hear anything in those two. That's the silence. This is silence period. See, those two. It's telling you silence period. See. Now I still my 6 months. See, that's going to be a little confusion for you, and I'm going to allow that to stand for now, because I'm not. I'm not going to excruciating detail like I said. But I'm going a lot more. Those of you that study, you'll follow it. Okay. So that's the silence. See, because remember, this is a key. It's sealed. You got to figure it out, right? Okay. So then, okay. So then, okay, what's happening here? Let me bring this over here so I can see it a little better. Because we're going to talk about this in more detail. I got some graphics. Oops. Yeah, go again. Okay, oops. What happened? Okay. Okay, I just show here, right, the first four seals, right? So I'm going to leave it there. But you can read it on your own. I'm going to explain this in a minute. Okay. So here we go. Now I got a little slide thing here. The seven seals. Okay. The first was white horse. Okay, let's look at this. See? Now I said that represents Obama. He's going for conquering and to conquer. See, so there's two conquests. The first conquest was being president of the United States. See? You understand the integral key for this because, like I said, it'd be an African that will control a European country. Right? That's the first one. That's the white horse. They tell that's Jesus on the white horse. No, it's not Jesus on the white horse, right? See, and then they tell you that's Jesus on the white horse in chapter 19. That's not Jesus on the white horse either. In fact, in the chapter 1, when they tell you that's Jesus with the hair like white wool and feet like brown, that's not Jesus either. Okay, let me just unpack that for a second. It says one. Okay, you say Jesus, Son of Man, right? Is that what that's the right? That's the talk, right? Jesus, Son of Man. But did you read that? It says one like the Son of Man. That means if he's like the Son of Man, he ain't the Son of Man. See, you listen to these preachers, they tell you what they want to tell you. Read it. Every translation would tell you this person in there, they talk about he's like the Son of Man. That means he's not. If you like something, that means you ain't it. In fact, that's the devil that's there. So they worship, like I said, you worship Satan. Just read it. If you're still capable of reading. See, I don't care what translation you get, it's going to say the same thing. He's like the Son of Man. That means he's not. See? But they got to say, well, that's Jesus. Well, he says like the Son of Man. So let's move on. So we're talking about the first seal, right? Okay. And there's two parts to this. Conquer and to conquer. So one conquest got another one to make. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now, when he was a president, he became president, what, in 2008, I believe it was? And he signed the JCPOA, right? He set that up. And he also attacked Syria. He started the attack on Syria. All this is important because this is about the seals here, right? Okay. So that's what's happening here. So in other words, he starts the attack on Syria in 2011, right? Now remember that Iran had previously been under attack for about 8 years because they're the Shia. You got two nations there. You got two Shia nations, Iran and Syria, right? Iran had already been attacked, right? And now Syria's under attack, okay? Keep that in mind. And they're under JCPOA, right? That's under the foot of the nations for you, chapter 11 people, right? That's what I mean, on the foot of the nations. They're under control by UN, right? So we'll leave it there. Okay. And then Trump comes along, right? And he ends the JCPOA in 2018. See? 3.5 years later. See? Which, if you read chapter 11, you understand that. 3.5 years later, 15 to 2018 and mid, it's 3.5 years later. See, that's what it talks about that in chapter 11, about two witnesses. Two witnesses is Iran and Syria. See? So, from 2011 to 2020, they're still attacking Syria. In fact, they have troops in Syria right now. Right? America has troops in Syria right now because of Trump. That's actually taking it, or they're just taking it. I mean, they in a country, Syria don't want them there. They actually secured Syria's oil, and they're just taking it. And let me divest here for a minute, take a little segue. See, I know, oh man, they're terrorists and everything. See, brothers and sisters, keep listening to that stuff. America's a terrorist nation, period. They're predator nation. How do you get this country? What happens to this happens? If they say we don't have nothing to do with it, that's bad stuff our ancestors did, then why don't you get the country back to the people that you stole it from? They're still around, some of them, and take your ass back to Europe, pack up. Because you ain't gonna do it because you enjoy the fruits of what your ancestors, you say that that was what they did. Why are you enjoying what they did if it's so bad? Anyway, let me give you a brief history right here. Everything I say, you can go and check. In the 1950s, Iran was a democracy. Oh, yes, they don't tell you that part, do they? It was democracy, a full-fledged democracy. And then you had this thing called BP. You ever heard of British Petroleum? Well, they had developed Iran's oil, right? So because they were developing for the West, for themselves. So they felt they had the right to it, and they was taking oil. They wouldn't get Iran's nothing. They was taking oil, just taking it, right? So the Iranians said, wait, that's our oil. So they couldn't come to accommodation, so the Iran said, we can nationalize, they took the oil. So Britain got mad. This similar thing happened in Vietnam with the French, see, because they got mad, they got kicked out, and they got American involved. Anyway, so they run to America. America sends CIA in, they get rid of the president, and they install a dictator. Well, they hate dictators, right? But installed the Shah was a dictator, first class. He could touch Saddam Hussein some lessons, right? So he ran things about 30 years or whatever. See, so he was selling all this cheap oil to America, and he was putting the money that he was selling oil, he put it back in American banks. See, that's a lot of that going over in the Middle East. That's why Gaddafi was taken out. That's why Saddam Hussein was taken out. I'm not going into details about that, but that was what he was doing. So they finally disposed him in 1979. They got rid of the Shah. They finally overthrew him, kicked him out. He had cancer. He tried to come back in the States. Carter was president at the time, and they wouldn't let him come in the country because he came in the country. He was trying to get that money that he had put in American banks. The Iranian money wasn't his, right? So he was coming trying to get it, and they wouldn't let him in the country. So Sadat, he was the black president of all white Egypt. They tell you Egypt was all white, but he was the black president of all white. See. So he gave him refuge, sanctuary. He died there. So all that money that America had been paying for that oil from Iran for all those years, for some 20, 30 some years, they had the oil and they had the money, and they wasn't getting up the money. They said, "Oh man, y'all took y'all took hostages." See, that means they didn't carry them, they didn't kill them, they released them. See, but that was the excuse they used to say, "Hey man, we ain't giving you nothing." So how would you feel about America if they did that to you? What would America do if somebody did that to them? See, they hate America. They're terrorists. You see, they don't tell you the background, the backdrop of this whole situation. So you run around talking, man, we terrorists. They this and that. What they did, And they say, man, this JCOP, man, they trying to get back the agreement. That's a bad deal because they get them $8 billion. That's their money they're getting back to them. They releasing money that they locked up. They release money back to them. They ain't get them any they give them nothing. See. Anyway, bouncers, I thought so don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for anything I say here. Go and research it. And then tell me I'm lying. So anyway, move forward. So Trump ends it. So then Iran starts preparing for war. So we're going to move on because they start beefing up their Iranian production. See, they start preparing for war. See, so that's what's going on right now because they're saying right now in the news yesterday was America's afraid that Iran may have a nuclear weapon in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Well, by that definition, that means they got to attack them in the next 2 or 3 weeks before that. Because they said Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, we'll never let it happen, right? So forth, so on. That means false Israel and America's got it. I said this is going to happen in a few weeks. I told you that. I told you that a few weeks ago, right? All this going to happen this year. It's going to come out of nowhere for you because you're confused. You don't understand what's going on. The war that's going to trigger Armageddon is not this Ukraine-Russian thing. It's the war in the Middle East. Now, if they're telling you that they fear that Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon within 2 or 3 weeks, that means they got less than 2 or 3 weeks, right, to do something about it. See, and they can't, and they're not negotiating. See, incidentally, the Iranians used to be Persian. They the one discovered, invented chess. So that's just something you might think about. See, okay. So then. Next. So now we have this silence. See? Now remember where we was just now. Let's back here. Let's back up for a minute. Remember where we was here. This puts us 2022. 3.5 years. See? I'm not going to the angel side of this, right? Because it says a day's 3.5. That is 3.5 years. Right, and then the Spirit of God will come into the other God. See, I'm not. That's all incorporating this, but I'm not going that kind of detail here. Right, see, that puts you at 2022. That's this year, right? And then it said be silence. I said I call that as being 6 months, Whenever he said, and right now there's a negotiating table, he's still negotiating, right? And whenever he opened up the seal, the seventh, that's the mystery of the seventh seal, right? Whenever he opened up the seal, the seventh, right, occurred signs in heaven as half an hour. When it says as half, that means this is about 6 months. It could be a little more than 6 months, a little less. But about 6 months, that puts you around about June, July, maybe May, right? Just keep that in mind. That's why I'm revealing this, because that's how close we are. And so, hey, I'm not like Farrakhan and those guys. I'm putting my information out here. So, you know, if August, September come and nothing happens, then, you know, they ain't gonna do that, because they want that money to keep rolling in. See, now Farrakhan has put his foot in his ass, because he said in this so-called swine song, you know, a 5-hour shit buffet, right? He didn't speak of anything that made any sense, right? He's supposed to be his swan song. It's really a swine song. And he didn't tell anybody what to do, what's going to happen, anything. But he did say this war is going to break out and spread with Ukraine, and then it's going to get turned to Armageddon, and then they're going to come and take him and crucify him and all this bullshit. No, it's not going to, that war is not going to turn Armageddon, right? It's the heat. But no, this war in the Middle East is going to trigger Armageddon. Michael's angels go to war with Dragon's angels. Okay. Let's go here. Where we at? So, during this time, right, JP's talk stalled. Force Israel prepares to attack Iran. Force Israel has made it openly clear that they're going to attack Iran no matter what. They said definitely if they make this deal with JCPOA, if they make it, they're going to attack them. If they don't make it, they're going to attack it. Because if they don't make it, that means they're going to attack them because they're still processing uranium. If they do make the deal, they're going to attack them because they don't like the deal. So they're going to war either way. They made it public. They went to their whatever they call it over there, right? Their political thing, right? This session, right? Commons or whatever they call it, and this. And they said they allocated $2 billion specifically to attack Iran. And now they were doing war games and things like that, preparing, and that's part of this so-called Abrahamic Accords, so they can have peace with the Arab countries, so Arab countries let them fly over them to get to Iran. So they say it's going to be a war either way. And now they're saying they expect they're going to have the weapon within 2 or 3. That means that they're upstanding. They push the pressure. It means they got to do something real fast. And they're going to do something real fast, so I'm just letting you know in advance, because war is on the way. It's on the horizon. And you're going to be right in the middle of it. See, because it's all about you. You just don't know it yet. And then, okay, it's the silence, right? Now, let's go a little further. Now, see, when you read the 5th, remember I said the 5th and 6th, there's silence there. But when you read the 5th, it explains what's going on, what triggers the whole thing. Because when you read it, the 5th one talks about these witnesses that are under the altar. So you got to understand, understand all that. But that's talking about Syria and Iran. Now it tells them, I'm not going to read, this is talking about the 5th one, right? I'm not going to detail, but it's 2 characters there, talking about 2 witnesses, because one of them has already been attacked. It says, and the second one says, because he doesn't say, when you're going to take an avenge, he's talking to their 12th imam, when you're going to take revenge on those people that's been doing this to us. And they said, no, we're not going to do it yet. We're not going to do it until you suffer the same thing your fellow servant did. See, that means that Iran was attacked for 8 years, and I said, you got to go through the same thing before, and once you do that, then I'm going to make an attack. See? So this is part of the silence. See, because after that silence, that's when attack goes, and this is in sync with that, because after this happens in sync. So they were given white robes, you need to understand, Israel understand all that, right? And they told just to wait. And remember, this they don't hear anything here, so this part is silence period, right? Because after the silence period, then the war starts. And so this sort of war here, it says the war doesn't start until after they suffer the same thing that Iran suffered. It's talking about Syria. See? I'm trying to get you to understand how these seals work, right? So that's the 5th one. And then, remember, 6 wasn't saying anything either. End of the silence. So at the end of the silence, right? At the end of the silence, that's when the sixth seal takes off, and that's when all hell breaks loose. See? But according to this here, it happens sooner. So if we saying that, because I said, it could be May, it could be June, it could be July. I mean, it kind of insinuates that it's going to be earlier because it says it's going to happen before the figs are ready, before they was ready to attack. See, before the figs, false Israel, if you understand the angel, false Israel is the fig tree. The figs are American Britain. And before they was ready to attack, right? Because the figs was thrown before they was ripe. So before they was ready to attack, Master Muhammad and his angels went to war. They preempted them. See? Because they were preparing for war, but they preempted them because he says, and war broke out in heaven, and Michael and his angels, in other words, it started by Michael and his angels. See? It started by Michael and his angels. See? So that's why it says the figs before they was ripe. See? So this war is about to break out. Right after this period of silence, the war breaks out, and all hell breaks loose. All these things you see right here is the same thing you see in chapter in this fourth seal, right? Okay. And then World War III. Now World War III, the reason I call it World War III because it's Armageddon, because World War I and World War II was European wars, with the exception of Japan in World War II, but primarily it was European wars. And Armageddon is a European war when they start fighting with each other. As the Quran says, at that time where some of them surge against others. See, that's Armageddon. See? And that's when the seventh angel, having the seven trumpets, prepare themselves to sound. Because that's the war. And they're fighting with each other. See? They get to fight with each other. I'm not going to the mathematics behind it and all that kind of stuff, but they're fighting with each other. And the beneficiary of that is, right, is China and India, because they become superpowers. That's the whole thing about the dragon gave his authority to the beast, because they fight each other. So they you get the families, one family, they beating each other up. So the enemies get stronger as a result of that. A house divided cannot stand. I'm gonna give a presentation on this. I come and I bring mother against daughter, and father against son, and mother-in-law against daughter-in-law. I'm gonna give a whole presentation. I was gonna do it today, but I want to do this first. Right? Because I've given several presentations on that. That's why I put it on delay, because I have several presentations about that. See, so it's not something new. See, explain who that is. So that's the mission of the seventh trumpet, because the seventh trumpet is the one. See, that's what says the silence, and then that's what kicks it off. See, Armageddon. See, and so then. That's when the four winds. See, that's the four trumpets. That's the four winds. Those the four. See, because they go out of sequence. The first four. See, the sixth trumpet, the first trumpet, that goes before the sixth trumpet. When you read carefully into Angel, the sixth trumpet releases the first four. So the first four goes first. See, and this is Armageddon. Four winds. For Armageddon, it's also four winds is what puts so much shock into our people. I said, remember, they're going to be short-circuited. Your program will be short-circuited. It says when the four winds blow, right, that's when you rise. Read Ezekiel. Let it blow against those four winds, and that's when you come together. See, all come together. The saints as well as the demons, and then we separate we have the whole harvest together, and then we separate the demons out and throw them back to their swine daddies. So I hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to get you to understand how this works. Because right now, this is very relevant, very timely, because this is about to kick off. It's so close you can almost touch it. That's why I'm revealing it right now. See? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See? So according to calculations, my calculations, right? But it says no one knows, not even the Son, but the Father only, who is Master Muhammad, because he's David. Suleiman, or son of man just means Suleiman, that's David's son. You need to understand these things, brothers and sisters. He's the one that's going to initiate this. Remember I said he's the one that's going to initiate the war in the Middle East. See? He's Michael. If Michael is not matched by Muhammad, then that means who is Michael? And we got two deliverers because he's the one that delivered us according to David and according to Daniel. See? So he goes to war early. So he makes that decision. Suleiman don't make it. Says the son don't even know. He makes it. I've been saying that forever. But I'm confident, 100% confident that I'm on track with this. Now, I'm not saying a specific date, specific time. I'm just saying this year. See? So I'm putting it out there. And I don't erase my archives. Everything I put out there for the last 30 years is out there if I haven't deleted it unless they've deleted it. Now, I want to, this is a very, and I've mentioned this before to people that study angel. I don't know if they remember it or notice it or not. But when you read the first four seals, see, you know that they're talking about the trumpets, because the trumpets represents, so those, the trump is also the fiery red. Well, I don't know how to say that, brothers and sisters. I'm not going into a lot of detail. But the thing is that the four winds, right? They're also the four horses. So you see a white horse, you see a fiery red horse, you see a black horse, and you see a greenish yellow horse. It's not pale. That's wrong translation. See, and those represents the demons. See. But that red horse is a mystery because that's not one of the demons. That's one of the four winds. That lets you know that that the four winds are blowing, because from there, second, third, and fourth, those are winds are blowing. But see, you think this, so you don't know that that's the war's already started. See, that's why it's excuse me. That's why I was saying once the silence occurs, then the war starts, because that's a mystery. And one of the things you know it, because you can't say, well, who is that second horse then? Because it says he's the one that takes peace from the earth. He's got that fiery sword. Like I said, if you don't understand the angel, you don't understand it. I'm not going into detail to explain it, because I'd be hours trying to explain all the ins and outs of the angel. But those who study the angel know what I'm talking about. But it says he would see the earth represents the European countries. It says that one would take peace from the earth, and that's what it said. We're talking about his warrior. So he is not one of the demons. He's one of the four winds. He's that second wind, right? So here's a little hint here. You have to go to Zechariah, I think it's called Zechariah, and they talk about the four horses there. They give a little different take on that, the color of that last one. Everybody has color of that last one. It's really greenish yellow. But I'm going to just show you this quick, and then we're going to close out. It says, I looked again, and there before me were four chariots coming out from between two mountains. Mountains of bronze. You need to understand what bronze is too. That's something to do with false Israel. The first chariot had red horses. Keep that in mind. The second black, right? Remember there was four horses in the book of Revelation, right? Third white, right? So we have no problem so far. And the fourth one is called dappled. So I'm not sure what dapple means, but it has something to do with that so-called pale horse, because everybody gets that confused, right? All of them powerful, right? I asked the angel who was speaking to me, what are these, my Lord? And the angel answered me, listen very carefully here. These are the four spirits of heaven going out from standing in the presence of the Lord of the whole world. That's true, because the four horses, right, represents the seven spirits. See, there's four of the seven spirits, which is the original nation, but three of them have been corrupted because of rape. Remember I said, half the black nation in America is demons, half is original. So if 34 million, 17 million are demons, and 17 million are original. That's why we got problems with all this confusion. They terrorize us, confusing us, because they're not us. They're skin folk, they're not kinfolk. Anyway. But see, so they're absolutely right. So if you understand it, you understand what they're saying here. And the one with the black horse is going towards the north. The one with the black horse is going towards north. Now it's the black horse, right? You got that one down, right? the north country. The one with the white horse towards the west. There's the north and the west so far, right? The one with the dapper horse towards the south. North, west, and south. Where's the east? No mention of the red horse. No mention of the red horse at all. Why? Why don't mention the red horse? They don't mention it. But they said it was 4 of them. But they don't mention it all. So I'm going to leave that there, brothers and sisters. Because I say, you got to pull these things together. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to explain this, but they don't mention that because it wasn't one real experience. See? It was that second wind. See? Which represents the 4 winds blowing. See? So, I'm going to leave it there. Because like I said, I intend to go into excruciating detail here. I intend to give you some background, and this is primarily for those people who study angel. So you can look at it, study it, maybe you can break it down in a more simple way people understand it. Because for me to try to do that with this, it's almost impossible unless you got some background. It's like trying to teach you Spanish, you don't even know the alphabet. So I gave you some basics here. So those of you that study angel, you should get this. Got some more to study. And by the way, that brother David, did he knock out the park the other day? He was talking about, I'm going to talk to him about it too. He was saying all the different things that he knew because of the angel. About the dragon, the Jal, and the Jinn. And I had never looked at it that way because I looked at it like, okay, I'm spreading stuff. But he like categorize and put it all together, like lump all things together, I said, like put it on a scale. Damn, that thing weighs a lot. Like I didn't put it on a scale, I'm just looking at it. Okay, these things. And I'm saying, wow, that's a lot of stuff. See? And that just shows how Negro bust out people don't know anything. Because if you listen to that, and then you think about, if you start thinking at all, you say, damn, I don't know nothing. And you don't. But we're going to we're going to short circuit your programming, and then your eyes are going to open up, and some of you are not going to make it. See? But one thing you can do, brothers and sisters, I tell you, you want to start deprogramming yourself, just start doing this. Start asking questions. And don't take bullshit for an answer. Say, prove it. Start asking questions, say, prove it. And I guarantee you, right, and like, just like that, you start waking up. See, your program will be short-circuited, start waking up, and then you got to watch out for these demons around you, because all of a sudden people ain't going to like you. They're going to start having questions about you. And see, they're going to do everything they can to slow you down, right, and to get you reprogrammed, get you back online, in line. I guarantee that's going to happen. See, because you are what they call it, outlaw robot. You out of sync. You're not operating properly. It's a word used called tilt. You just a pinball machine. I don't know if they use that anymore. So something wrong with you. See. In that regards, I'm gonna say one last thing. I'm gonna close out. I was at the gym. I mentioned this before. And I went to the men's room and I came back, and I got all my stuff on the machine, right? I'm doing bench presses, right? My towel, everything's on, the bag, everything on the machine. So I'm coming back and I'm about 3 feet away from the machine, and the guy interrupted, hey man, you still on the machine? I don't ask dumb questions. I don't answer dumb questions like that. You see my stuff, I'm heading back to the machine. I just come from the men's room. You don't know where I just came from. I'm still on the machine. If I still got it, that must be on still on the machine. So I ain't say nothing. So he pissed off because he's a white guy, and we ain't supposed to ignore them. The worst thing you can do is to a white person, if you're black, I don't care if you're a demon or saint, is ignore them. Because they're superior people, see. Yet still, they turn Europe into a shithole for 1,000 years. Read chapter 20 again, they turned a shithole, but they went out looking for, because that's why they left. They ran out of Europe because they turned a shithole. They were trying to escape it. Murder, rape, disease, tyranny, the whole 9 yards. They were escaping. See, they were trying to get away from it. But they couldn't get away from it because they were the cause of it. See, so they brought that with them everywhere they went. But just think about this, I'm kind of diverting myself. But they would say, oh, they say, They were saving the world, right? They saved the world from poverty and everything, right? Then why did they go all over looking for gold? If everybody was impoverished, then why did they go over and looking at those people for gold? Why everybody went to Africa and America and this country looking for gold? If everybody was impoverished, because they had nothing, they wasn't impoverished. That's a lie on the surface. Anyway, so he got angry. So then he comes in, hey man, I'm talking to you. I still ignore him. Then he started waving his hand in my face. Hey man, can't you hear me, man? Can't you hear me, man? Are you still on the machine? I'm pumping. He's asking me, are you still on the machine? Then he figured he could catch himself, right? So you see, so then he said, oh, how many sets you got left? Ain't none of your damn business. I still ain't said nothing. See? Find something else to do. That's what I do. I don't ask about how many sets they got. Find something else to do. So then he really got things. Then he comes on the side of the machine, but he's about a foot away from me, 2 feet away from me, right? Where I'm on the bench. Man, you a rude, man. You a rude, man. You a rude, man. What's wrong with you? See? Now what's wrong with me? I ain't bothering him. See? There's gotta be something wrong with me. See? Because I'm supposed to be a Negro butt and something wrong with my programming. Because I'm supposed to answer him. I'm supposed to say, yes, master. Whatever you say, master. See? He's saying, that's what he's saying. Something wrong with you. What's wrong? That's what he said to me. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? So then I did say something. I said, man, get the hell away from me. Hey, man. I said, man, get the hell away from me. I said, I got a little stronger than that, right? I threw a couple more F words in there, right? Get away from me. Right? Because, I'm serious, right? But don't talk to me like that. See? He called me names of rude. I'm not supposed to talk to him like that. You see what I'm saying? That just goes to show you, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? You think these people change, they can't change. It's no different than a lion that's hungry and a lion that's on the prowl. Because when he's eating, he's not on the prowl anymore. So you can walk around, he probably won't bother you. But once he gets hungry, he's after your ass again. And when these people get hungry, because the whole society is failing, they tell you the economy is failing. They tell you you're going to have food shortages. They got war, all this stuff going on, all this confusion. You can't see what that means. They say, well, they kind of talk the way out of it. They can't talk about it. Going back 2020 says that's when God will start. That's when all the hell broke loose. Because he says, I will come and judge that nation. And now they're under judgment. And God's here to save you. But he ain't going to force you to leave. If you want to stay here with them, he'll leave you here with them. But he's here to get you, bro. So I hope you understand. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. Let's see here. Make sure. Okay. Let me close out my audio audience first. Audio audience, thank you for listening. This is the Black Alert segment of the Fire Zone. Fire Zone out. And for you, those of you in my video audience, thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.